Hello Pharma aspirants, welcome to GDC English classes. So in this session, we will discuss a glimpse of what is myasthenia gravis and what happen in case of myasthenia gravis. So let's see in detail. As you know already, myasthenia gravis is an autoimmune disease like rheumatoid arthritis. So regarding the definition, it is an autoimmune disorder affecting the myoneural junction, that is neuromuscular junction, a junction between neuron and muscle. The muscle here is the skeletal muscle and the neuron is motor neuron, directly supplies from the brain to the skeletal muscle, and it is simply characterized by the fluctuating weakness of certain group of skeletal muscles. So fluctuations in the weakness, sometimes it is looking good, sometimes it is looking like weakness. So simply it is an autoimmune disease, especially leads to the muscle weakness, especially leads to the muscle weakness. So generally my sorry, myasthenia gravis is not a brain disorder. In this condition, brain works normally. Myasthenia gravis is mainly due to decreased acetylcholine function on the neuromuscular junction that leads to development of muscle weakness. If it is not treated, it may develop into the paralysis also. So what happens in case of myasthenia gravis? What happens in case of myasthenia gravis? The main thing is decreased number of available acetylcholine receptors. Decrease in number of acetylcholine receptor at the postsynaptic muscle membrane on the skeletal muscle. So if acetylcholine receptors are decreased, then if acetylcholine available also, it unable to bound to the receptor and it unable to shows the muscle contraction. That leads to muscle weakness. That leads to decreased neuromuscular transmission, decreased transmission between skeletal muscle and neuron. If there is a new, for example, this is one neuron, this is one neuron. If there is a no transmission between the, no communication between the two neurons, then there is a damage to the nervous system. Like here also, here synapse between muscle, that is skeletal muscle, and the neuron. If there is a no neurotransmission here, no acetylcholine from the this neuron to muscle and no muscle contraction. And the thing is, acetylcholine released normally. Acetylcholine released normally, but there is no receptors on the target. That's why acetylcholine is not binding through that and unable to showing the contraction. And only small end plate potential that not responsible for any contraction. So some potential will generate, but that is not sufficient to produce a proper muscle contraction. Failure of neuromuscular transmission, NMT, failure of neuromuscular transmission at NMJ, neuromuscular junction, that is weakness of the muscle contractions. If this weakness is continued, it may lead to paralysis. It may lead to the paralysis. Okay, so you can see, observe clearly. So this is the muscle activation, one diagram, and here you can observe clearly there is a muscle inactivation due to lack of muscle contractions. Due to lack of muscle contractions. So here you can observe this is the acetylcholine receptors, and this red dot small balls are acetylcholine binding to the receptor and shows the action. But here, due to decreased availability of receptors, the acetylcholine is not binding to the receptor and not showing any contractions, not showing any contractions. And generally, you can see the signs and symptoms here clearly. Weakness, 85% general weakness, fatigability of muscles, the muscle become fatigue. Weakness on the repeated use, weakness on the repeated use, worsening at the end of the day. So still the muscle is weak, still you want to work, there is a chance of severity of the weakness of the muscle. The muscle weakness increases and decreased down. So this little bit problem may be decreased if you go for any rest or sleep, and it may also lead to diplopia, double vision, facial weakness, the facial become weakness, the facial muscles are not responding properly, and the bulbar weakness affect the eye also, bulbar weakness affect the eye also. Okay, so this is simply what is myasthenia gravis, what is happening in myasthenia gravis, what are the general signs and symptoms of the myasthenia gravis. Okay, so like this interesting and concept based videos, so subscribe to GDC English classes, and also you can prepare for GPAT, NIPER, drug inspector, as well as pharmacist and other pharma competitive exams. Thank you.